Today's topic is called Creative Thinking 101. And in this program, I'm going to help you unleash the creative thinking skills you already have, but may not know how to access. And besides my own thoughts, I'm going to be including some quotes from creative experts from around the world, like Leo Burnett, who said, "Curiosity about life in all of its aspects is the secret of great creative people." Curiosity, it's the main word there. In recent years, there's been a lot of research on the whole subject of creativity. And what's exciting is that researchers have discovered that there are some long-standing misconceptions about creativity. Previously, the conventional wisdom was that only a few lucky people had the gift of creativity. Studies now indicate that both creativity and non-creativity are taught or can be learned. Creativity and the ability to innovate are like muscles, and what's great is that the more you use them, the stronger they become. And I've been extremely creative since I was 10 years old, and I want to show you how to engage your creative powers, even if you've never done it before. And it's all about knowing some empowering rules that I'm going to share with you today. I've been an out-of-the-box creative thinker most of my life, and in his basement shop, my dad gave me an upfront seat while he built a wide variety of bookshelves, tables, chairs, go-karts, boats, a family room. He even once built a helicopter. And now I want to share with you some of my experiences and how I learned to become a creative thinker and craftsman. When I was young, my goal was to be able to build cool things like my dad did. His teaching style was rather unique. He required that I stay at least 8 feet away, and I wasn't allowed to ask any questions. But hey, I was just a kid, and those were his rules. At least I didn't have to sand the floors, paint fences, or polish cars like the Karate Kid did. As a result, I developed keen observation skills, and my dad never used any plans, drawings, or cutting lists. He just would pick up a piece of wood, steel, or whatever, start cutting, shaping, sanding, nailing, welding, etc. And the result was magically something useful would evolve. I just assumed that that was the way it was supposed to be done, and I still use those techniques today. At the age of 10, I started building things on my own, and I just watched, and when he wasn't around, I imitated with spare materials that were available. One of my first projects was building some speaker enclosures, and they weren't much to look at all when I was finished, but I just figured that was part of the process. Edwin Land said, "An essential aspect of creativity is not being afraid to fail." Now, over time, my projects got better and better, and at the age of 14, my dad asked me if I wanted to enter the soapbox derby. Each entrant got a rule book and plans for the car, built it on their own, and then raced it. I didn't even win my first 3-car heat. I knew I could do better, and I wanted to try it again. The second year, my car won all 5 heats, including first place, and also an award for being the best constructed car in Kansas City. Later that summer, I placed 7th out of 239 other contestants in the Nationals in Akron, Ohio, and my winnings paid for my entire first year of college. At 17, I built my first guitar. Actually, this is the one. I kept it around. I kept working on guitars, by the way, and the following year, I built a guitar and sold it for $300. I've designed and built literally thousands of items for individuals and area businesses. And now there are few things I can't design and successfully build. And I've noticed I use many of the same logic rules and creative techniques over and over. So today I'm going to teach you techniques so that you can get similar results. My empowering rules will allow you to be much more creative than you ever thought possible, and the goal to inspire you to start thinking creatively. but you have to engage your mind and follow the rules. The neat thing about creative muscles is that the more you use them, the greater your creativity will become. You'll need to be willing to work hard and continue to learn as you go along. Eventually, you'll be able to build, create, and problem solve any challenges that come your way. And these concepts will work for everyone. A wrench, hammer, drill, or saw doesn't know whose hand is holding it. And I've literally taught second graders how to wire and install household electrical sockets, and even a 75-year-old woman how to install a backsplash in her kitchen. Now, many people are followers, but to advance as a society, we need new, exciting ideas to enhance and improve our lives. And it's your choice to either be a follower or to decide to be a creator. And the concepts I'm sharing with you today can change your life in a positive way forever. Today's innovation is based on things you've already experienced and your ability to develop your observation skills moving forward. Begin by looking around and asking lots of questions. When you ask better questions, you start getting better results. Let's focus on observation. Beginning now, at every opportunity, look around. Start adding visual items to your subconscious mind. When you see something new, try to figure out how it works. Wonder why it was designed the way it was. Also, be sure to pay attention to the small details and file them away for future use. Search for patterns and observe how things fit together to make a system. And when you see something interesting, take a mental photo. Or even better, take one with your phone. They will allow you to access these visual elements later to save problems. Then imagine combining these elements in new, unique ways that could be useful. Study successful people and the things they've created. Start pondering what-if scenarios. And remember when ketchup came slowly out of the small pointed cap at the top of a squeeze bottle. A better idea, change the shape of the bottle. Rotate it 180 degrees. Put the lid on the bottom, and now you have instant ketchup. Well, the guy responsible for this creative adaptation started working on this solution back in 1991, and he failed to make it work 111 times. But on the 112th time, he succeeded without the aid of a computer, and in 1995, he sold his company for $13 million. Now, as you can see, it's just a matter of observing a variety of different things, asking better questions, and then taking the components and combining them in a new, beneficial way. Ben DeBond said, "Creativity is breaking out of established patterns to look at things in a different way." Back in 1879, Thomas Edison had tried and failed to invent the incandescent light bulb 1,000 times, and he'd be the first to tell you that it was really, really hard. However, he refused to give up, and when asked about his progress, he shared he had learned how not to make a working light bulb 1,000 different ways. Now, humor helps, and it also is an essential part of the process. And you can't take yourself too seriously when you're doing this stuff. On the 1,001st time, Edison finally succeeded in making the first commercially successful light bulb in the world. And what's the moral to the story? Simple. Fall down 7 times, get up 8, or 112, or even better, 1,001 times. Also know that Thomas Edison was destined to succeed because he simply would not stop until he did. Henry Ford, another out-of-the-box thinker. As a young man, he worked for many companies, including Westinghouse and Edison Electric. He observed many things before he struck out on his own with his famous Model T Ford. He stated that whether you think you can or whether you think you cannot, you are right. If you choose to think you can, then apply enough effort and eventually you will. Innovation is based upon empowering rules, and it begins by giving yourself permission to start. Nothing ever happens without first taking action. To successfully create something of value is actually quite hard, but it's the hard that makes it so rewarding. There will be times when finding a useful solution will seem nearly impossible. But remember, you never lose until or unless you give up. So never give up. Sure, you'll make mistakes, fall down, miscalculate, and when you experience a major setback, you really haven't failed. Focus on what you have learned in your attempts that will help you succeed in the future. Just keep making adjustments as you go along until you reach a successful result. Another inspiring example occurred during the Helsinki Olympics back in 1952. Roger Bannister, a 25-year-old British athlete and neurologist, ran the first mile under 4 minutes. Prior to that time, so many other athletes had tried and failed that the sports medicine community considered it a physical impossibility. Yes, it was hard, definitely painful, but with some improved training techniques, Roger Bannister finally broke that record within 2 years, and the knowledge that a 4-minute mile was possible, 5 other athletes also ran it that fast. Never let anyone or any group impose limits on your dreams and abilities. Roger Bannister said that the man who can drive himself further once the effort gets painful is the man who will ultimately succeed. And by the way, that works for women as well. Start putting some of the concepts regarding creativity I've shared with you today into practice. The 2 most important points are, first, you can do anything if you're willing to put in enough effort, and second, you need to start. Creative inspiration just doesn't come to you. You have to go out after it with conviction. Show up and start doing the work. Find or create the right place to do the work and then just start. You don't need to have all the answers up front. Don't worry about the how. Be willing to invest enough time and the how will start to take shape. Write down your desired result, make a drawing, accumulate some materials, and then start making something. This is what I do. I make the first piece, and with that in hand, that allows me to see what the second piece should be like. I make the second piece, and that allows me to see what the third piece should be like. And I keep doing that until I get to the final result. And I make adjustments and revisions as I go along. Creativity is work, it's a process, and it gets easier the more times you do it. Never, never give up, even when the process gets really tiring or discouraging. Keep working through it, and the result will illuminate the elegance of your solution. Be sure to check out my next 2 creative videos on tools and techniques. Well, I'll be showing you some techniques to include in your arsenal. And my final creative video in this series, From Concept into Reality, Building Things Without Limits. I'm the can-do guy, and I'm from Living Large for Less. And they're all about teaching you how to save a bunch of money on everyday expenses and becoming the best you can be. So now, the closing thought is from Scott Adams. Creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing which ones to keep.